All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Dickson. And today the title of my presentation is going to be on gross indecency and unapprehended felons in Singapore. I'm going to be speaking about the criminalization of gay men in Singapore and how it creates the effect of discrimination against the LGBT community. So, a little background about this law in question. It originates from British colonial time when Singapore was part of the British colony, and it exists as Section 377A in the Penal Code today. So over here it says that any male person who in public or private commits an act of gross indecency with another male person is potentially subjected to punishment of up to 2 years, right? So over here, we can already see that there are potentially severe definitional issues of what gross indecency means and its potential to overstate its effects on gay men in Singapore to include private consensual acts, right? And this was actually, this problem was acknowledged by the High Court in Singapore back in 2012, where the ruling by the court actually stated that the existence of this law in itself causes gay men in Singapore to be unapprehended felons in the privacy of their homes. So here we see that the potential problem of this law that affects not just gay men in Singapore, but in general the LGBT community. So with that in mind, that the public interest associated with this law, what I did over the past year was in this research project to basically look at how the existence of the law itself shaped the attitudes of the public, whether or not they were in support for repealing or retaining this law in itself. Right, and basically this survey was designed in mind with first asking the public what they felt, whether or not they believe that gay people should be criminalized, and then this was followed on by introducing the law in itself, and then asking them, okay, so now that you know that this law is sitting in our books, is this something that you believe that gay people should be criminalized for within the privacy of their own homes? So based on this survey that was carried out with the support of the American Bar Association Rule of Law Initiative, we came down to two main findings from this research study in itself, right? And what was really surprising about it was that prior to informing the public about, informing them about the existence of this law, the majority of them were not in favor of criminalization. And then when we introduced the law to them that, hey, there's this particular law in our books, and this is what it's doing to gay men in Singapore. Do you think that this law should still remain in our books? And what was surprising was that once we posed that question to them, the majority of them switched their opinion to say that yes, we think that this is because this is what the government proposes, and therefore we believe that that gay people should be criminalized in Singapore. So that was the majority view, right? And that was the main finding that we had from our survey. And the second main finding was that we also realized that religious views actually have a strong factor in influencing whether or not the public were in favor of retaining or repealing the law itself. And age was also another factor. We found out that the younger public were generally in favor of repealing the law in itself, and also having for an individual who has a friend who is either LGBT, also helps in shaping support for repealing the law in itself. So part of this fellowship was also thinking about how we want to bridge between advocacy work and research work. And basically, this piece of research would fall into part of the broader LGBT landscape in Singapore. Over here right now, this might not be very clear, but there is an ongoing social movement in Singapore since 2009 that aims to promote awareness of discrimination against the LGBT community in Singapore itself. So this is called the Pink Dot Movement, all right? And also, like I mentioned earlier, back in 2012, there was a constitutional challenge brought by a gay couple in Singapore with the intention of trying to get the law repealed, which ended up unsuccessful. So with this research that we have in mind, it only forms the bedrock of the broader work that the LGBT community in Singapore is trying to achieve. Besides getting the law to be repealed, that would be the first step, because from there on there would be broader implications of social discrimination that the LGBT community in Singapore would have to deal with, including on aspects having to do with education, public health, and mental well-being, including the military as well, and social security. So with that, this is what my fellowship is about. Thank you.